So today, for the next 30 minutes or so, I'll try to entertain you guys on some information on RNA. And I just want to be upfront. I am not an authoritative figure on this subject. I mean, I'm just part of the learning. I'm learning about this as I go along. But I do want to bring up some pretty controversial, like kind of touchy subjects. I mean, some of you guys might be a little bit like what are you talking about? So, I mean, by all means, we can have a discussion if we can on this, some of the stuff that I'll be talking about. And so, basically, I'm going to be covering 80% background of RNA, and then the last 20% I'll actually cover of what I'm trying to do, and some of the things that I'm stuck, and some of the things that I have guesses for why I'm stuck. Okay? And finally, we'll hopefully talk about whether or not RNA is junk or maybe it's recyclable. And if you look over here, it's like here's the DNA kind of making fun of this RNA. Oh, here's a messenger. It's a message for you to pass along. And RNA is like, come on, give me something else to do, you know? And, but it's like here the DNA is like, okay, no. I mean, what do you think? This is the RNA world? You know? So the idea behind this is there's a lot more going on within these RNA elements. They can do a lot more than just transcribing proteins. So just to go back a little bit, a step back. Can anybody give me a definition of what is a gene? Just what is a gene? I mean, we study
segment of
like from elementary biology, or not really elementary, but like high school biology. We studied this. I mean, I remember seeing the chromosome, and they're like, okay, here's these chunks that are genes. So, anybody?
So the class of nucleotide can be transcribed and translated and have a function, work as a protein.
Yeah.
Well, see, protein. You said
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. It's a heredity. It's just heredity. It's not necessarily protein now. No, you're pissed us off. So yeah, it's just these things or these nucleotides that can code for a certain function, certain aspect of our life that we can pass on to our offspring. That's changing. That's what they refer to as things. I mean, the Wikipedia, I can go on about like how it says the gene is a basic unit of heredity of living organisms. All living organisms depends on gene, blah, 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 blah. But that's basically the idea, okay? So how many people knows what a non-coding RNA is, or not know?
I've heard about it.
Yeah, everybody pretty much is comfortable. Yeah, so. So, I mean, the basic thing is these non-coding RNAs, they're capable of regulating or promoting certain aspect of our expression. And there are like small nucleolar RNAs that's able to perform gene modifications. There are microRNAs that's able to have like defense versus viruses. I mean, what I'm trying to point at is these non-coding RNAs, they're very diverse in terms of what they can do. Okay, so it's no longer just here's a message, pass it along. They can actually involve in a lot of what I call, or what people will call, epigenetics. Okay, so for those who aren't familiar with this term, epi is above gene, above a group of genes. So the easiest way of thinking about this is, okay, so you have the caterpillar, you have what's it called, chrysalis? Is that the pupil that turns into chrysalis, and then a butterfly, right? They all have the same gene, but there are something within their biochemistry or their molecular level that changes them into the different state that they are in, okay? So it's no longer that, okay, it's a one-to-one, so this protein causes this function, this protein causes this function. There are other, it's a more messed up environment of more messed up networks of gene-to-gene interactions that makes this kind of thing happen. Okay. So just to kind of waste a little bit of time, I have here like a little history on molecular biology. And the reason why I want to put this up is to show you guys like how it kind of evolved. And one interesting thing that if you look is that none of these guys, if you can actually go look it up, like these people, like Morgan, Beadle, and Tatum, they're actually not biochemists. And some of them are actually physicists. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is, or actually I talked to Amir about this a while back, is you can sometimes, if you look too close into what you're trying to see, it might be a little bit better if you take a step back to look at the bigger picture. Okay, so I kind of want to impose that onto you guys a little bit. And this is where we will thrive. Okay, after a genome project where there's a bunch of data now, this is where we will fit in. After 2001, that's where we come in. I mean, we don't. I know that we, as bioinformaticians, we aren't like totally comfortable, or I mean, we don't know the molecular level, the detail of what is actually happening, but we can oftentimes see the bigger picture of what is going on. Okay. And just to introduce some key characters, I mean, I won't make this into a history lesson, just a couple slides. These guys are cool, okay, too. I mean, they discovered RNA. Okay, I mean, Dr. Meischler, he discovered that there are these things that are within the nucleus, and he called it nuclei. But then they later realized that, oh, it's only for non-prokaryotic genomes, okay, or eukaryotic genomes. So not everybody has a nucleus that has these DNA things. And oftentimes, the next two people, Elliot and Lazarus, they actually reside within Oak Ridge, where Dr. Shu came from, where Dr. Shu kind of holds a little sentimental value to that place. But they actually came there. They actually discovered mRNA, the first one to discover. But then these three people down here, Jake, Francis, Sidney, Matthews, they took the credit. So the reason why I want to show this is be careful of how you express your ideas. Sometimes you can get stolen. Like, it sucks. I mean, it really does suck. I mean, they're the one that first discovered mRNA, but they rarely get credited for doing so. And I know the pictures are kind of black and white, kind of shows that how long they came. The discovery were decades ago, especially if they look like that. Okay, so this guy, now that we have a little color, Alexander Rich, he was one of the first guys to suggest that, okay, these RNA can actually fold up. So now we're actually introducing a more interesting idea now. So let me see if I have. Now we have like an RNA, okay? So he's suggesting that these guys can actually fold up together. I mean, at that time it was pretty wild. These biologists, they're like, oh, come on. Like, they'll form base pairs? What? No, that's nonsense. But I mean, come on. Later on, they realized that it was actually correct. So, which is why I thought this was really cool. In science, there's a herd instinct. You tend to always, if one person looked on the right, everybody's going to look on the right. But so there's no progress. The net effect is there's no progress. So whenever somebody tells you to look on the right, you better look left.